Hello, everyone. We're here today with Christian Bärtsch, CEO and co-founder of Essento, a pioneer in the edible insects space. Hello, Christian. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for the invitation.
So as a first question, I'd like to ask you, how did you start the company? Like, what is the philosophy behind Essento? Just share with us a little bit of your personal story.
Yeah, that's a good question. I get that asked quite often. How does one growing up in Switzerland get in touch with insects? Well, I mean, first of all, I've been always interested in food and sustainable food, in positively impacting people's eating habits. It was in 2013 when I came across the publication by the FAO on the potential of insects, and this kind of woke up my interest, and I started to dig into that and tried to get a lot of information. This kind of where this whole journey started out, and it was not necessarily the kind of decision to say, well, we're gonna produce products and bring that to the end consumer. It was more a journey where we kind of got into a lot of different interesting areas of the food system, and then finally ended up with what we're doing right now.
Awesome. Okay, so I guess, I don't know, can you talk to us a little bit about the role you played in the development of the legislation behind insects? As I can imagine, possibly in Switzerland there wasn't any.
Yeah, indeed, that was quite an interesting phase. So basically, when we started out in 2013, we quickly discovered that what we were trying to do was not legal. Meaning, the kind of the legal perspective is always kind of a reflection on the values of society and how society views things, and this is being codified in the legal system. Back in 2013, insects were not included into this list of things that you were able to sell people as food. And to be honest, back then we were actually discouraged by quite some people saying, well, you know, this is not an entrepreneurial thing to do. You're not going to be able to do that. It was something that kind of interested me and partners back at that time a lot to make that change happen. So we just gave it a try, despite people saying, well, you know, it's going to take 10 years and it's going to cost millions of Swiss francs to do this legal change. And we, despite that, just decided to go for it.
So you persisted, and now in Switzerland, you actually have a law allowing you to produce as well as sell insects, right?
Yeah, I mean, it took some time. So we started back in 2013. We did a first aperitif at the federal parliament in 2014. And this is kind of how the whole process got started. And then we did find quite an open collaboration with the Swiss officials responsible for that matter. And then by 2017, it was this whole situation was changed, and there was a formal law announced that allowed for production and the trading of insects for human consumption.
That's amazing. Congratulations. So I was wondering, could you tell us a little bit about how maybe the consumer's perception has changed since 2013 when you started and today?
Yeah, I mean, this is really a very, very important point. So when we started out, there were two main hurdles. That was, on the one hand side, the legal aspect. On the second hand, it was the consumer perception. Back then, everybody was saying, well, you know, I'm never going to have it. No, it's nothing for me. And this kind of has evolved over time. I mean, we're not there yet where we believe we should be, but it is a step-by-step process. And we've seen the opening up of a lot of people. And what we do see is that our generation is much more open. And this also fills me with hope. So by kind of having these new generations coming up and starting to take consumer decisions, we have the potential to have a lot of positive change in our food system, including the inclusion of insects on our plates.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you that consumers have a very important role to play now and in the future as well. So me, I'm Italian, as you know, so I'm a big fan of like food and the Mediterranean diet. But I've myself actually tried insects when I was in the UK, and I found them quite delicious, quite salty. I think it was worms. So something I wanted to ask you, like, why this push on insects? Like, where does it come from? Is it something that you think is more sustainable? Is it healthier for us? Why would you say we should consume insects as an alternative?
Yeah, well, I mean, it is really kind of the notion on how our diet should look like. And this is a debate that is going on right now quite intensively. We should eat that, we should eat this. I personally believe that a good human diet is a diet with a lot of variety. Yeah, I mean, this is also what is appealing to our eye. So we like something green, something red, something yellow, something. Yeah, we like to have that mixture, and this is also what nutritionists say is good for our body. And I believe that there should be a lot of the nutrients should be coming from plant-based, as it used to be back in the days. Now we have kind of shifted to a more heavier diet on animal proteins, and I believe this is going to shift back. And I do see a lot of potential with the complementation of a plant-based diet with insects, and this is due to three main aspects. First of all, insects are tasty; they're delicious. We do have slightly nutty flavors, not too strong. So it goes kind of into this peanut area, which allows you to come up with a whole range of different food products and different combinations. So it
Do
can
you
either go.
add some like sauces or some spices to them or no?
Yeah, I mean, you can just fry them or roast them. Then you have kind of this pure nutty flavor. So one recipe that was developed by a Michelin star chef is the so-called false hazelnut ice cream. So basically, it's an ice cream with a base of insects, mainly with mealworms, and it really has this taste of hazelnut, even though there is no hazelnut included in that ice cream. So that is kind of one option. You can go sweet, you can go into the savory area. So there is a huge variety that you can come up with. So first of all, it's delicious. Secondly, it is healthy. So we have all the essential amino acids are included, which we need to function as for our body. You have a lot of unsaturated fatty acids, so the fatty acids that are good for our body, the fatty acids that we need, the ones that do not make us gain a lot of weight. We have vitamins included, mainly A and B vitamins, including the super valuable vitamin B12. And we have a lot of fiber included as well. So it just makes it interesting from a digestive point of view. You have a lot of interesting nutrients. So we have a tasty, healthy solution, and insects are also super sustainable. So they use way less resources than conventional cattle that we can consume. This is from the feed to food conversion ratio on the one hand, of the CO2 emission, land use. So this is in general, it is a super sustainable, healthy and tasty way to add into your personal food consumption.
That's super cool. So tasty, delicious, and nutritious and sustainable. What else can we
Yeah,
ask for?
exactly.
But how do you plan on, yeah, because I guess many people are linked to their culture and then maybe and cultural traditions and maybe see eating insects as a bit weird or not as appealing on first sight. Is there anything you're trying to do to change the perception? I saw on your website that you're also like people can ask for tasting boxes. So if you have anything to show us, that would be amazing.
Yeah. I mean, changing food habits, this is indeed quite a tricky thing to do. And it does take some time. The way we perceive food is mainly on two different levels. On the one hand side, it's the emotional, and on the other hand side, it's the rational. On the rational end, we have this nutrition, we have the sustainability, but it needs to be tasty, needs to be appealing. And this is also what research that we have conducted and also have published in scientific papers have indicated. And this is kind of how we started out to bring insects onto the same niveau as other foods. So what we started out of doing was we came up with a cookbook. This is the German version of our cookbook. And we said, well, if we depict insects the same way, the same tasty way as other foods are depicted, it's going to change a lot. So if you look at a menu like that, it is not that
Great
exciting
salad.
anymore. It's a tasty salad with a little bit of protein crunch.
I would love to receive that as my Christmas gift.
So we came up with just a few suggestions. We came up with a total of 50 different ways to cook up insects and make them tasty. We even worked with some Michelin star chefs to come up with some special interpretation of their dishes. So this was that was our start. What we then noticed is, well, for people to start cooking, that is hard. We need to make it easier. We need to make it more accessible. I mean, we still have this book, and that is still available. We have sold quite some copies, and we have ongoing interest for people that are up for cooking. But then it was the question on, well, let's make it more accessible and let's make it easier to eat. So you don't need to go to the kitchen and prepare it, but you can just open a package and snack it and eat it and integrate it into your diet. It needs to be easy and accessible. So basically what we have come up with is protein bars. So we have 2 different protein bars. We work with natural ingredients only and combine that with valuable insect protein. We have also come up with a different snack. So this is a healthy, low carb protein snack that is available right now in 3 different flavors. Our consumers have asked for more different flavors, so we're planning to bring some new ones for next year. And these are ways to integrate it easy into your diet. And then something that we also came up with is a hamburger, and it just looks like a normal hamburger, and it cooks easy. It's simple, and you have within 5 minutes you have a delicious main dish for your menu. And we offer that in supermarkets as well as in different restaurants to just get an easy access to a more sustainable, healthy, and tasty way of eating protein.
Thank you. That's super interesting. I'm looking forward to tasting the hamburger one day. Actually, the question that you raised, like the point you raised on accessibility, is very important, I think, especially for the diets in the future and the way forward. So, if I'm not mistaken, you produce everything in Switzerland, but I guess insects are available worldwide. Not sure if the same varieties or the same cat species and categories. But is it a phenomenon or a space that is expanding worldwide? Are there some regions that are more advanced? What would you say? What is the flavor?
Yeah. Indeed. I mean, when talking about food systems, we need to have a global approach and look at it from a global perspective. I mean, if we look right now, how many people are on a regular basis consuming insects? We roughly get to a number of 2 billion people. So that is quite a high number, and we do find them mostly in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. This is where insects have been traditionally consumed. What we do see now, there is a lot of interest in the more Western countries, talking mainly about the US, Canada, about the European countries. And there we see obviously quite diverse reactions, but we see the openness is increasing and more people are integrating insects into their own diet.
Okay, that's very interesting. So do you expect in 20, 30 years time that most of us will have included insects in our diet? Is that what you hope for?
I mean, I believe that the integration of insects into our diets, it might not be in that way where you're going to have an entire grasshopper, but it might be that you have your valuable nutrients coming from a sustainable way, such as insects. And I believe that not even in 20 years, I think it's going to happen a little bit before that, that insects are going to be often found on our plates.
That's great. We hope so too. We definitely need to, gear up and change the things that are not working and move towards a more sustainable future of food.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, Christian, for being with us today. That was a very interesting conversation. I'm sure people will find it very interesting and will want to try insects after this.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the invitation. It was good talking to you. Thank you.